My name is Maciek Ciszewski. I will be a moderator of today's session. So bear with me. I will be frequently back with you to make sure that you're not lost in today's quite lengthy presentation. In terms of rules of today, so now we are activating in the chat a Slido application, which will allow you from now on, throughout the presentation, it will allow you to post questions. Like this, we can, during the presentation, we can already see the questions and questions which are ranked the highest. We can address them directly during our presentation. For questions that we won't address, at the very end of today's session, there will be a Q&A session where you can put your questions, both in written, but also you can put questions. We will unmute you. As we are 500 participants, we would favor and encourage you that you put your questions in Slido. Like this, in a smooth way, we can address them and collect them and address in a aggregated, I can say, aggregated form. But there will be also an opportunity at the end for Q&A. Now, I would like to also introduce you to today's speakers. Here's the team that will be presenting today. I'm very proud to work with this great team of DG Ener colleagues. So there are many people behind what we are presenting to you today. There's also more colleagues here in the room who are responsible for the EU Energy Platform, who are working on other mechanisms. We are very happy that we can deliver this today after many, many months of work, more than 1 year, to arrive at this launch event. Also today with us, I would like to introduce to you colleagues from PwC Sfera, developers who are actually developing the web application, which will be your interface, which will seamlessly function, allow you to navigate the EU Energy and Raw Materials platform. They are here with us, and we are very happy to work with them. So now I think is the right moment that we move to the first presentation of the technical part of today. I will go into a bit more details about the EU Energy Platform and the H2 mechanism in particular before we move into the next sections. So as Christina said, the main drivers of the platform and the main features that will be used by you, by the industry, are to connect demand and supply. We will be matching through the platform the demand and supply for hydrogen and derivatives. The second main driver of the platform is to support and inform hydrogen infrastructure development. As colleagues will present later on, we will have capabilities to offer to promoters and developers of infrastructure to use the platform. Also, we'll be collecting information which will be increasing transparency and information about needs for hydrogen infrastructure across Europe. The third driver, very important, is of course linking with financial support. We are not providing financial support directly through the platform, but partners that will be part of the platform, financial partners, international financial institutions, banks, national banks, commercial banks will be partnering with us, and their products, their services will be available to those companies that are registered and which are part of the platform. Maybe an important reminder which hydrogen, what type of hydrogen and what type of offtake and supply we are looking at on our platform. So we are covering both renewable and low carbon hydrogen and derivatives. So this is the scope, which is larger than only renewable. In terms of demand side, we look into European off-takers and the demand on the European side, but we will be connecting and we are fully open. As you can see, some of you, because you are from outside of Europe today at this presentation, we are fully open to supplies from outside of Europe of hydrogen and derivatives and for other mechanisms, also for other products. So now moving on. As you will learn today, you will be able, as a European off-taker, to place demand and to organize calls for expression of interest to attract suppliers that will have to register to the platform as well. And this will be a way for you to use the platform to make sure that they can actually respond to your call for expression of interest. Also, through this call, you will be connected to the financial institution. We'll provide you a bit more details when Clément takes over from me. Now, on the supply side, to make sure that this is clear for everyone, the mechanism is operated by the European Commission. It is also hosted on the website of the European Commission. It is for European off-takers, but we are absolutely open to international players. So on the supply side, we are inviting any undertakings which would like to serve the European demand, both from Europe, that's very important that we have this supply in Europe, but also reliable partners from third countries. As I mentioned, the platform will provide a feature for infrastructure operators, developers, and promoters. You will be able to use for free our platform to test market interest for your infrastructure projects, to test market interest, and all the information collected from the market on the demand side, on the supply side, will be then delivered directly to you. Important caveat here, Clément will be speaking about this. The information that is delivered to the demand side, to the supply side through the platform is not publicly accessible to everyone outside of the platform. So basically, at all points in time, information that you are sharing with the platform, you have all control on if this information is shared with other participants on the platform or not. You can influence that, but in no situation individual, non-aggregated information will be published to everyone. Now we are moving to the role of the financial institutions on the platform, and I think this is a good moment to hand the floor to Clément, please.
Thank you, Maciek, and good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to tackle the first question, which I see on the slide. Yes, the presentation will be shared after the meeting to the participants. But just to continue, Maciek was outlining the benefits of the platform per participant, and I will conclude by speaking to the financial institutions in the meeting. If you register, you will be able to display your financial product on the platform directly to off-takers and suppliers. Our only constraint is that we will want what you display to also be publicly available elsewhere on the internet, namely on your website. By doing so, displaying your product, you will gain access to the results of the call for interest whenever the participants are giving their consent. So it will be a way for you to gain knowledge about market-tested potential transactions and engage with new clients through the platform as well. Now we've covered who can participate. Now let's cover a bit more what you can expect once you've registered. And our colleagues this afternoon will provide you more details about exactly how to register in a few minutes. The operations of the mechanism will be organized in rounds. What we call a round is for each round, we collect information about demand and supply. We have flexibility in the way we organize them, but it's important to understand if you register, you will not be able to place your demand at any given point in time. You will have to do it when the Commission is organizing a round. There are various types of rounds, which you see on the screen. The three main ones, but then we have flexibility, are the call for supply interest. We collect first demand from European off-takers. We publish it on the platform and suppliers can interact. The call for demand interest, the exact opposite. We collect first supply capacities from European and global suppliers. We publish it on the platform and European off-takers can react. And the infrastructure market testing, which is slightly different. We are collecting at the same time the information about demand and supply, but this time it's really to guide some assessment being made by infrastructure operator. For those in the room which are interested, this only works if you partner with the Commission and we do a round together. Two key elements to understand. First round in September, only for registered participants. So you really need to register to participate. Now a bit more detail to give you an example of what a round could look like, focusing on the call for supply interest. Again, call for supply, off-takers first, suppliers second. The off-takers, when we launch this call, most likely it will be the first to be launched in September, will have 2 to 3 weeks to submit their demand request to the platform. They will have to outline the project that is consuming the volume, the product that they need, the volume, the delivery and transport considerations, contracting and prices preferences. And I will show you in a few minutes the form that you can use to do so. Second important milestone in this process, we publish a call for interest on the platform, meaning any off-taker that made the effort of submitting a demand request is then available for suppliers to see. That's when the suppliers will connect and they can express interest into the demand that we've collected. They can do it in respect of a single request, but they can also aggregate demand requests being placed by European off-takers. If you are a supplier and you are interested only by European off-takers requesting, for example, delivery of ammonia in Rotterdam, you can aggregate all of the requests that are matching that criteria and express your interest to them as a whole. You can also do it if you want to aggregate demand requests which are placed along the same pipeline. Finally, once we've closed this process, the results are shared with the relevant participant, meaning the off-takers receive the offers from the suppliers. In that case, they are not made public. We are not publishing the information that is shared. We will only make public some aggregated data sets to preserve your anonymity. The negotiation that you may or may not do following this call for interest are carried out outside of the hydrogen mechanism without us being necessarily involved. This is for the presentation part, and now we are happy to show you a short preview of what you will be able to access in September. If you bear with me 1 second. Right. You are an hypothetical off-taker or supplier. You've registered. Your registration has been approved. You will learn about this in a few minutes. This is what you will gain access to in September. Your own dashboard, where you can see the rounds which are ongoing or upcoming. Here you see on the example, there is a call for demand interest that is ongoing. You are of course able to click on it to have more information about that given round, the timeline, how it will work, what we expect from you as a participant, and you can, at the top right corner, create your submission. Creating your submission means that you get access to the structured form. The form that you see is still the prototype version. We are actively working on it, but you get a sense of what it will look like. You will have various blocks of info that you can provide, information about your project, which project will consume, what you intend to do with it, where do you stand with the project status, have you passed feasibility study, for example. You can also provide information about if you've received public support from the EU, in that case we will confirm, or not from the EU, in that case you will be in charge of providing the information, for example, if you receive the grant from the Romanian government. You will then have to say which product you want to place on the demand or supply side. We've narrowed down the list of products in order for it to make as much sense as possible, even though it's not necessarily a perfect match for all of you, but you will have to choose between a set of renewable products, focusing strictly on the RFNBO definition set out by the European Union, or low carbon product, again, relying on the definition that will come in a few weeks. And then you will fill in your profile with an amount of ton per year. You don't have to provide this amount for every given year. You can choose, and we've decided to do ton per year because that's the way we could satisfy the highest number of participants. We know it's not perfect again for some of you, but you have the possibility to provide more details in the description. Once this is done, you can save it, and once it's saved, it's submitted, and once we open the call for interest to the supplier, that's when they're able to access to everything that has been published, which is when, in this example, the potential counterparts will get access to the platform as well. They will be able to review all of the demand requests that have been collected, to express their interest into a single one, an aggregated one. Expressing an interest, of course, means that they will have to provide a similar level of information about the potential project that will produce the volume which are meant to be delivered to the off-takers that placed the demand request. This is for a short preview. What you see on the screen will still evolve in the next few weeks before we organize the first round, but you get a good sense. And now we can focus on what will be the next steps for you before we move on to the registration tutorial. What are your next steps? Today, you can start your registration. You can already subscribe to the H2 mechanism or to the financial institution rule. We've tried to keep that process as light as possible, but there is a little bit of work on you, of course. Once you're subscribed over the summer, you will be able to grant access to internal users from your organization. And you will also be able to receive updates about the upcoming first round and the deployment of new feature. In September, you will be able to participate in the first round of the H2 mechanism. Important element, you need to register in order to participate. If you participate, you are not obliged if you register, so you're not obliged to participate. And of course, there is no cost attached to the participation. So my key message before giving the floor back to Maciek will be register early so that you can stay informed and you can ensure that you will be validated in time for the first round. Thank you.
Thank you, Clément. Before we move to the next part, I have reviewed some of the top questions and I would like to directly address them because I think they are very relevant. So for everyone's understanding, the first questions are very much about the links with other energy products such as biomethane raw materials. Also, how will we take into account the fact that hydrogen market is at a different stage of development than raw materials, than natural gas or biomethane? So to be very blunt and very easy in reply, there will be no copy-paste between the mechanisms. There are some synergies in terms of development. We will be using the IT infrastructure to build on these synergies, but we will not be using exactly the same features for hydrogen and derivatives, raw materials, biomethane and natural gas. As the question points out, the maturity of these markets is very different. The needs are different. There are some similarities. So there will be some features of the future mechanisms that will be similar, but there will be some that will be very different, that will be responding to the needs of this particular market. For biomethane, just to give an example, maybe aggregation feature will be needed at a different stage, maybe more on the supply side than on the demand side. This was just an example, speaking under the control of colleagues developing this mechanism. And as we did for hydrogen mechanism, 12 months of work on the features, on understanding what the market needs. There will be the same work. It's already ongoing for raw materials, and we will be doing, and we're already starting to do the same for natural gas and biomethane. So don't worry, no copy-paste. The mechanism will really respond to the real needs of particular markets. Another question is about international partnerships. We believe that through our platform, it will be easier to find partners, both on the supply side, on the demand side. As such, the platform does not have an inbuilt feature on how to make these international partnerships easier. We are not involved as the European Commission in the negotiations, but we are offering a platform which supports finding partners. And if there is a need in the next steps, also for the European Commission to be involved in one way or the other, of course, we will be open to that, but it will not necessarily be taking place directly on the platform. Another question, very much forward-looking, it is about the new commodities on the platform. So currently we are focusing very much on the free mechanisms, because as Commissioner said, by 2026, first half of 26, we'll have free mechanisms operating and running, but we are fully open and the platform is ready to accommodate also other commodities. I will not spend much time on this, but let me just to reassure you that we are also thinking of what will happen once we deliver the free mechanisms, and we will be open to consider other commodities. And the last questions, I think very relevant, Clément, and I would like that we address them directly. It was a question about sensitive commercial information not being shared with the outside and information flowing overall, even between the participants on the platform. I will address the first part of the question, but I would like to address that you address, Clément, the competition aspects. So on the information that will be available to everyone, we will not be publishing individual data, bids, offers, demand, expectations. We will see how many we collect. If we are able to publish information in aggregated form on how this is going per round, we will make it public. But it is to be seen, of course, how this data will look like. So automatically nothing will be published. What will be published, of course, it will be information about the rounds, which round is upcoming, when, if it's a round about demand collection, supply, or infrastructure. We'll try to have as many interactions and showing how the platform is developing as possible. But we want to make sure that those of you who register, that you feel safe, that your data, that you actually control where your data is flowing, and that nobody from outside or else is able to basically understand your commercial strategy. In terms of data flows within the platform and within the participants, some information has to flow, of course, because for matching, for connecting the buyers and sellers, it's important that this information is passed. But Clément will provide you our current thinking about this.
Yes, of course, indeed, we need to have some information flows between the participants. That's the purpose of the tool. It's also to enable you to run your own call for interest. So for this, you will need to share with the participant registered on the platform always some information about your needs, whether demand side or supply side. Then, of course, this information will stay within the platform, meaning only those that express interest into what you are calling for will be able to see what you are requesting. And we are also working on a number of safeguards to make sure that you will be also able to tailor which information you want to share to which participant. So it's something that will also be included in the tool before it's launched for you to have to be as comfortable as you can with what you are sharing on the platform. But of course, as a basis, anything that is shared online will stay in the H2 mechanism.
Thank you, Clément. I really hope that you're reassured by that, but of course, comments are always welcome. So now we are moving more towards the platform itself and very practical elements on what will be needed to register and then how to register. So now we are moving to the elements that are needed before you register. And here I will ask my colleague Vincenzo to go through it, to show you practically how light the process is. Of course, it is as light as it can be. It is a serious platform, so of course there will be some requirements before you are validated on the platform, but Vincenzo will give you all the details. Please.
Thank you, Maciek. Indeed, before starting with the presentation, just one general remark building on what Maciek was saying. We have designed the registration process to comply with legal requirements and ensure that participants are reliable and trustworthy, but at the same time to make it as easy as possible for participants. So now I will provide a quick overview of the elements required for registration and subscription. And then afterwards, I will go back to each of these elements a bit more in detail. So the first step, as you can see in the slide, is appoint the administrator user. This means that to appoint administrator user, this means that the organization, the participant, so your company, identifies the person who will act as administrator user on the platform. And this formally is made via the power of attorney. I will go back on that in a minute. Second, the administrator user needs to create an EU login account. Third, the future administrator user has to upload an extract of the commercial register or company register not older than 3 months. Whatever the name, this document must prove the establishment of the organization and list its legal representatives. So those who are empowered to enter into contracts on behalf of the company, such as the CEO, the general manager, and so forth. Then the user administration has to sign and upload the power of attorney. And finally, he or she has to subscribe to the hydrogen mechanism or the financial information institution role and complete the template for the declaration on honor and sign it and upload it. So the request is processed and go to the validation phase only after all these steps are completed. So a few more words about the administrator users and users. So the administrator user is the person, again, that is authorized by the organization, the company. We call it the participant, to register the participant on the platform. There can only be one administrator user per participant. And this administrator user, he or she has the task to complete the registration process and also some exclusive rights to manage the subscription, the users, and to request changes in the information. Users are the person who are invited by the administrator user to participate, to act on behalf of the organization. Typically, they will be those who will act during the rounds that Clément explained, like a call for supply interest or demand interest by placing demand requests or supply offers on the mechanism. So now let me go quickly back on some of the issues and starting with EU login. So EU login is the Commission authentication service for users. The future administrator user needs to create a EU login account. You will go to the link that is on the presentation, follow the instruction. There you need to enter your professional email address and the information that is requested. Please let me highlight that it's important that you use your professional email address. So the email address that you have on account of the organization that you are registering. If you already, by any chance, have already a new login account using your personal email address, you should not use that, but create a new one with your professional email address. Then let me say a few words about the power of attorney. So this is, as I briefly mentioned, the document that is needed to confirm that the future administrator user has been authorized to register the organization and to act on its behalf. Of course, the first practical step is to download the document. We provide a template. You will see two options. One is if you alone have already the legal capacity to act as administrator user. This means that you are listed in the extract of commercial or company register as one of the legal representatives of the organization, the CEO, the general manager, and so forth. Option two, that we expect to be the most common one, is applicable if the legal representative of the organization, again, the CEO, the COO, the general manager, is granting you the rights to act as administrator user on behalf of the organization, your company. In this case, this person granting you the rights has to sign the power of attorney, and at the same time, they must be listed in the extract of commercial or company register. Then a few words about the declaration on honor. So this is a very important document. It's mandatory, it's required for registering and subscribing to the mechanism, the hydrogen mechanism, or as a financial institution. You will see there are two different templates. This document includes several specific declarations on behalf of the participant, so the company, the organization. I will briefly go through the categories of these specific declarations that you see on the slide. First of all, there is those declarations that concern compliance with the general rules of the platform and the H2 mechanism. Participants declare to use the platform and the mechanism in line with the legal basis. It's the regulation that you see mentioned there. Based on a genuine interest in submitting or aggregating demand or supply for hydrogen and derivatives. Just an important reminder here, the mechanism is open, as it was mentioned, but it's useful to recall that is open to hydrogen buyers or off-takers, hydrogen suppliers or producers, or organization in charge of transport, storage, or the operation of hydrogen terminals, and also with a specific subscription to financial institutions. Of course, organizations that want to register have to meet those definitions that you will find in the terms and conditions of the platform. The second category is compliance with Articles 52 and 254. This is basically about sanctions. So the main point here is that your organization, the participants, is not subject to EU sanctions banning transfer of economic resources or involving asset freezes, and or it's not owned, controlled, or acting on behalf of individuals or entities that are subject to such sanctions. In addition, in the declaration, you will see that your organization commits not to offer hydrogen supplies originating in Russia or Belarus through the hydrogen mechanism. Participants will be informed of when the relevant legal act excluding these supplies will enter into force. This will in any case happen before the first round that is planned for September 2025. The next category that you see on the slide is eligibility of participants. So this section of the Declaration on Honor seeks to ensure that participant meets integrity, legal and financial eligibility standards required for participation. This is in everybody's interest to be dealing with people, with companies that are trustworthy and reliable. So this means in concrete terms, there should be no bankruptcy, insolvency proceedings, no serious professional misconducts, and you will find the whole list in the text, in the template of the declaration on offer. The final category is a declaration about ownership structure. So here, the future administrator user is asked to provide details about the organization, the company ownership structure. This information is required and will only be used during and for the purpose of the validation process. Please let me highlight that this is very important, is part of the due diligence system that we have in place regarding the legal requirements for participation on the platform. So please complete all the tables in this section thoroughly and accurately to help us to ensure a smooth validation of your registration and subscription requests. So then just a few words about the qualified electronic signature. To sign both documents, the power of attorney and the declaration on honor, you need a qualified electronic signature that is compliant with the so-called eIDAS regulation. This is the EU regulation on electronic identification and trust services. To do so, you should make sure that your electronic signature provider is on the EU Trusted Lists browser, and you will find the link in the presentation. Then, before sending the document electronically signed, you should check the signature and the validity of the certificate. Also, you'll find the link to the web app that is helpful in that respect. My colleagues in a few minutes will tell you more about this. If it is impossible for you to use an eIDAS compliant qualified electronic signature, you can sign the declaration on honor and the power of attorney with a handwritten signature. However, this option should be limited to exceptional cases. It is really not recommended, and it may lead to longer validation time. In this case, so if you use a handwritten signature in exceptional cases, you must keep the originals because the commission or the platform operator may ask them at any time for checks, and also upload a copy of a valid ID document of the person signing with a signature that matches the one on the documents, the DOH and the POA. So this concludes my presentation about how to register, and I give back the floor to Maciek.
Thank you, Vincenzo. Before we move to the registration tutorial, so Laila and Laurent, please be ready. I wanted to address a few questions. And as we are with you, Vincenzo, there's one question that if you could address. You said it, but I think it would be good that it's very clearly repeated. The question is, who can register? Companies only, or can private persons also register?
No, participants to the platform are legal entities, undertakings, or financial institutions. Individuals, physical persons are not participants and cannot, as such, register on the platform.
Thank you, Vincenzo. For those who joined us late, as we are now at 500 participants, so some of you joined recently, the presentation, including all these details and links, will be shared after today's event. I will address a number of questions. So there was a question about derivatives of hydrogen, including eSAF and e-methanol, if they will be on the platform. I can confirm it is the case. It's not only hydrogen, it's also derivatives, including ammonia, eSAF, methanol at this stage. One of you asked a question about the buyer alliances, the existing buyer alliances, and if we are already working with them. So at this very moment, we are establishing a platform. We are not working with any other organizations, including buyer alliances. We are open to collaborate with them or to offer the platform. They can also register and use the platform. Regarding other initiatives on hydrogen and derivatives, we are in discussions to explore synergies and common points with these other initiatives across Europe. There was a question which I like very much because it was about a company having a demand for hydrogen or derivatives, but in small quantities, I think you are very welcome on the platform. Through the aggregation feature, we can bring you together with other partners, and like this, your even small demand can be visible to potential suppliers. And one more question is about frequency of calls. So here at this stage, what we can say is that basically we are ready to have regular calls, technically, in terms of budget and resources as well, but the decision will be taken on the basis of interest, market development, and the needs. So we are not at this stage locking in concrete dates for the next rounds. The first one will be taking place around end of September, and we see from there. Clément, before we move on, there are a few questions which you are best placed to address. There is one question about the link with the European Commission's PCI selection process. And if supplier has more than one project, should should this entity register and use the aggregate volumes of the projects, or should this be one entry by project?
Thank you. On the project of common interest and project of mutual interest, what you will see on the tool when you are looking at the various demand requests and supply offer is the list of projects, meaning if there is a pipeline or a storage facility or a terminal on the list, you will see it as an overlay on the map that you will be able to consult, which means that you will be able to know if there is a potential infrastructure that is planned between your, for example, production point and the consumption point that you would want to deliver to. We will also enrich the matches with this information, meaning that if you express as a supplier interest into the consumption or demand request of a particular off-taker, and we know that there is a pipeline planned to connect to regions, we will also mention it in the match that you will receive. On the several projects for a single participant, it's perfectly compatible as well. You can select and create multiple entries and participate in multiple calls as part of the same round. So you will have the possibility to provide multiple supply projects or multiple off-taker projects. Very important element is that for competition law reason, you cannot act in the same round on the buyer side and on the supplier side. You will have to make a decision. Once that decision is made, there will be a cool-off period and you will not be able to use the platform on the other side. It is to preserve the sensitivity of the data that will be shared and also to comply, of course, with competition law requirements.
Thank you, Clément. Before we move, just two more points, if you allow. What about receiving terminals, storage, and crackers? So promoters of these projects, what can we offer to them? And one more point is about hydrogen blended in gas and how the platform will be approaching that.
Well, what we can offer to them is relatively similar to what I just described for the PCI, PMI list, meaning that if they are on the list, they will be on the map. If they are not on the list, then we need to discuss and we need to see how we can improve the elements which are displayed on this map. But for now, what will appear is really what we have under the project of common interest and the project of mutual interest, because this is what the Commission is the most aware of. Then on the blending, we do not have, and we will not have a dedicated product for blending. You will have to choose between hydrogen, gaseous or liquid with purity options, and the three derivatives that we mentioned. It's a list that we can expand easily, but there won't be a product for blending per se, at least when we launch.
Thank you very much, Clément. So now we are moving finally to the last part of the presentation, almost last, because there will still be Q&As. So we will address questions after this section that we haven't addressed so far. So now Laila, please, and Laurent, please show us what we are actually describing. What are we talking about? So show us the real environment where our participants will be registering.
Very good. Thank you, Mathieu. Thank you, colleagues. So indeed, we receive already a lot of information today about the objectives, about the setup, about very important documents and elements that should be provided as part of the registration. And now we'll present it together with Leila, how this translates into the actual steps for the registration and the subscription on the platform itself. So obviously the first step is to reach the main landing page of the platform, which you can see on the screen. You will access it using the URL energy-platform.ec.europa.eu. The link will be shared as well as part of the presentation. So when you actually reach the main landing page, you will see general information about the different mechanism, the one which is launched today and the one that will be upcoming. You can also have news feed that will be coming from other UEC websites. So when you are on this platform, you can now click the button register now or enter the platform. If it's the first time you actually land on the platform web page, it will lead to the same direction. So, and I'll do exactly the steps with you as we speak. So as Vincenzo mentioned, EU login is used for the identification and the login on the platform. So you need to have a new login linked to your professional email address. If you do not have one, you can create one. So provided that it's created, that you can click on login and the platform will actually load to the main starting point for the registration and subscription process. Here, the first information you have is about the user guide. It's an important piece of document, and we invite all prospective users to actually go through the document and get familiar with the different features and functionalities and also definitions that are quite useful for the registration. Two other pieces of information at this stage. So if you know that there is an admin user for your organization, you are invited to reach out to the admin user because he or she is the one that will invite you on the platform. So you shouldn't be creating a second profile for the same organization. And second, you might have an indication on this very page signaling that the domain name of your professional email address is already used by another user. So this might provide you information about another user signing off as admin user on the platform. So again, it's important to reach out to this person in order to get invited on the platform. If you would not know about the identity of the admin user, then you would actually go on the I button, the information button, contact support, in order to request that your request is forwarded to the admin user of the relevant organization. Now we're taking the situation where you want to play the role of admin user and your organization has not been registered yet. So when you reach that page, then you would click on register my organization. You will then lead to this 5-step process. The first step in this process is actually defining what are the registration requirements. And again, reminding you on the use of your professional email, this is very important. Also presenting the documents that have been detailed and the importance of which has been reminded by my colleague Vincenzo. You can access to the templates of the available document, meaning the power of attorney and the declaration of honor. And you can also have a link to the user guide in order to go back there if you need further information. So for the sake of it, I will open the template page where you can see that you have the power of attorney, the declaration on honor for the hydrogen mechanism, and the declaration on honor for financial institutions. So those are two different ones. So here you can also see that you have a PDF version, which is non-editable or editable with professional softwares, or the Word document for further sustainability of use. So you can download this version and use them as part of your registration process. So when you reach that page, we really invite you to have already all the documents at hand, filled, signed, in order to go very smoothly through the registration process. So bottom of the page, and it's important for the rest of the presentation, you have a navigation bar going to the next step and the previous step. And you also have a button that would erase all data and restart the registration from the start. So knowing this and knowing that I have all documents prepared for this exercise, I click on next step and I reach the page about the organization. So I will create an organization using all mandatory fields that are marked with a star on this page. So the country of establishment, we are in Belgium. I will enter as well the national registration number with the format that you have in the respective country, the street name, number, postcode, the city, the country for the establishment. You see that you also have fields for the web and for the credit rating. Those are not mandatory fields, but we invite you to fill them as well. Then we come to the extract of commercial register. You can either choose to drag and drop a file in the area with the blue dotted line or choose a file by clicking on the button. For the sake of this exercise, I will click on the button and upload the extract register that I have already prepared. You can try to delete it and reload one in case you realize that you've done an error with this file. Then we can move to the next step. You see that there's an autosave. So every time you're moving from one step to the other, the information that you have provided is automatically saved. So the first step is about the administrator user information. Vincenzo has reminded us what is the role of the administrator user and how it is different from a user. The name is secured from the EU login credential. So we will put the job title and department, the phone number, which is also a mandatory field. In case the professional address is different from the address of your organization, you need to fill it as well. You need to load the power of attorney. Again, as mentioned by Vincenzo, it must be with a qualified electronic signature. If you do not have one, then you need also to provide the copy of your ID. For the sake of the exercise, I will upload one with the electronic signature. Just for the sake of illustration, if you take this document, this is an example, you can verify that it has a valid signature by the certificate. So clicking on the signature and looking at the property, you see that indeed this is a qualified electronic signature with a QES EID. Okay, so speeding up a bit. Moving to the next step.
We have time.
Okay. Then on the subscription page, which is the fourth step in the process, you need to decide for what you're subscribing. So as a hydrogen market participant, you would normally subscribe to the hydrogen mechanism. If you're a financial institution, you will subscribe as a financial institution. And as I showed previously, there is a declaration on honor for financial institution and another one for hydrogen participant. In my case, I will go for hydrogen participant, again with the same principle that I have to choose a declaration on honor, which has a qualified electronic signature. And then I will move on to the next step. I reach then the page, which is the summary. It's basically presenting all information I have uploaded in that process and all documents that have been equally submitted. At this point in time in the process, I will review the terms and conditions and the privacy policy for the platform. If I'm okay with it, then I will actually tick the box and submit my registration. And you see at this stage that you receive the message that your registration is pending. It means that administrator of the platform will go through the different information that you have provided, but also the different documents. They might come back to you in case you need to modify or there is a need for clarification. You will equally receive a notification on your professional email account about the status of your subscription. And with this, then I would actually leave the floor to Laila.
I'm also sharing my screen. So what I did earlier today was go through the exact steps that Laurent just showed you. I clicked on submit the registration, and on the other side, the platform operator has already approved my company. And as Laurent mentioned, I received the email notification that now my company is active. So now I can go back to the platform using exactly the same steps, access the platform. And now I would like to show you what you will see as the participant that has been admitted in the platform. So I am the administrator user, going back to the two different definitions that Vincenzo explained to you. And this I can see under the user profile. I have my basic details, including the role of the participant admin. Then next, moving on to the organization profile. So what can I do here? As Laurent was saying, it's possible to make changes to the information that has been submitted. So both on the mandatory part regarding the organization and the key information, but also on the non-mandatory part concerning the website and the credit rating. If I want to request a change, I can do so on one or multiple of the elements that I have submitted upon registration. So concerning the legal name, country of establishment, and so on. And at the bottom of the page, you have the possibility to also request changes to the documents you have submitted. As Laurent said, this is not the only direction in which requests for changes can come. Already at the time of registration, when you get the email saying that your request is being processed by the operator, it'll tell you that as part of the process of validation, the operator might request you to change some of the information and details that you provided. And this could concern both the information fields, but also the documents. For example, should there be a typo or an error with one of the documents that you have submitted. I'm going back to the organization profile tab and moving on to the next sub-tab on subscriptions. So here you can see your active subscriptions. Right now, it's the hydrogen mechanism. You might have one or more in the future when we have more mechanisms active. For now, it's this one. Then moving on to the users tab. So again, back to the definition, the difference between the admin user and the user that Vincenzo explained. So here we have current users. Right now, it's just me as a demo participant. When you have users, you will have them listed here underneath with their status. So for example, if I want to invite a user, I need to provide the email address and send an invitation. And then under the users tab, here under user invitations, I will see all the email addresses of participants that I've invited with the status, for example, pending validation. Then a couple of more features. So there's the notification center that also has the little bell. Sorry, I've part of the screen blocked. So you have the bell here and you have the notification center. What is now there is the notification that your subscription has been accepted to the mechanism and well, registration to the platform overall and subscription to the mechanism. And in the future, you'll basically have your whole history of interactions with the platform under these notifications. Then, as Laurent mentioned, under the I, you have the support, contact support possibility. There's a predefined drop-down menu on issues that you could raise, but you can also enter a free text option. And then to wrap up, I'm coming back to what you partly already saw in an earlier version when Clément was presenting on the hydrogen dashboard. In the future, when we add more mechanisms, you will see them at the top. And the overall kind of look and feel will be similar, but of course with some distinction. But like this, you already have a bit of an idea of what to expect and how to go about the registration process. So this concludes our registration tutorial, and I would hand back to Maciek.
Thank you, Laila. Thank you, Laurent. So we have concluded the presentation part of today's launch. We have a number of very good questions waiting for our replies. I would like to directly jump to the questions. If you have any burning or other questions or statements, it will be now this moment of our presentation today. But now, starting with the questions, Laurent, there are two questions which I would like to address to you. I will read both of them. They have a link. First is, who is managing the platform? Is it the EC, DG or someone else? And the second question, the MIP, as we call it, so the platform, will it exist after 5 years? Please.
So on the platform ownership or operatorship, so the Commission is the entity responsible for the entirety of operations on the platforms. And in that respect, we are the one taking all decision when it comes to operation, maintenance, and development. In that respect, we are working in concert with a consortium, which is a contractor of us that has been selected following a competitive procedure. That is our IT support, so in terms of IT development and IT operation of the platform. But we, as the Commission, DGNR, Unit F1, is the authority responsible for the platform.
Thank you. And after 5 years?
After 5 years, so indeed, I mean, we mentioned the duration of the hydrogen mechanism as per the legislation. We also will develop other mechanisms as part of the platform. Some of them will be permanent in nature. And in that respect, this is our expectation that the platform will still be operational after the 5 years that you mentioned.
Thank you. Now, Clément, there are some questions where you are best placed to respond. I will put them in batches. So first batch is about infrastructure. One is about, will there be additional tutorial, or how can we learn more about the infrastructure options, so the infrastructure round? So basically how to get more information about this particular part. And linked to this, can TSOs register or only suppliers or demand off-takers?
Thank you. Very good questions, because the infrastructure aspects are, of course, key to the development of the hydrogen market. We will, and we already organized a number of sessions, including with our colleagues in the Commission working on infrastructure aspects and including on the PCI list, a number of sessions for member state authorities and for TSOs and HNOs to raise awareness about this new initiative. As you've seen, what we will start most likely in September is with the call for interest, meaning off-takers looking for suppliers or suppliers looking for off-takers. It's also because we want to use the tool first for this, but then we really much intend to deploy it to support infrastructure operators. So we will use these first rounds as a way to demonstrate to infrastructure operators the potential usefulness of the mechanism to their own processes. So yes, there will be more tutorials, there will be more presentations. Feel free to contact us if you are in that situation, if you are contemplating to test interest into an infrastructure you would like to develop with us. You can contact us and we'll be happy to discuss. We cannot, of course, do it for everyone. There will be some selections to be made, but feel free to contact us through the email address. Now, can TSO register? Technically, yes, but you will have to play the role, or planning to play the role of an off-taker or a supplier, which is often the case, especially if you are not necessarily a TSO, but if you are a port authority, for example, you could very well play the role on the platform of a potential supplier if you want to test who would be willing to pick up the volume that you are planning to receive in your terminal. So plenty of flexibility for this. So feel free to contact us if you are interested into the infrastructure aspect themselves, and we will be sure to raise awareness and make sure it is also useful to you to run your own market testing with us.
Thank you, Clément. Now, two quite technical questions about hydrogen, but we are fully ready for it. So the question about purity of hydrogen, different degrees of purity, and how are we approaching it on the platform? I know the reply, but I think you still are best placed to deliver it much more precisely. And here another question linked to this a bit: which volumes will the volumes be expressed in terms of hydrogen content, also for the derivatives, basically, for comparison in terms of price per hydrogen ton or kilogram in this case?
Yes, on the purity, we've had a lot of discussions with industrial stakeholders. Something we've mentioned is that the design that we presented today and the first one that will be organized in September, it's not something that is coming from Commission offices. It's really something that was discussed at length with plenty of potential market or potential users, which are market participants, to be sure it makes sense to them. So on purity, it means that we had plenty of different requests about the purity level that we should tackle. It's not something that is necessarily standardized already on the market. So we had to make a decision, which means that there will be two purity level, high and standard. Then this is what we will use when you choose the product. But of course, we will provide you the place to provide more information and details about your actual extremely precise requirements. And it's also the approach we will follow for the pressure. On the volume, we want to use as much as possible the tone equivalent, but it's something that we can reflect on as well. But this is really the concept that we want to use in the platform.
Thank you, Clément. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but we have two more questions for you, then two for me, and then Vincenzo, please be ready as well. So what is the time between the moment that participants either place their potential demand or the supply, between this and the matchmaking? So when do they get the result that they were matched or not? And then the second one, if you can directly take it as well. So how do we, through the platform, solve the issue of offtake if the prices are still too high? Which is a good question.
Thank you. On the timing, the easy one first. We have full flexibility to decide on the length of the submission window. So what we want to do is to provide sufficient time for the participant to do it, but also to have a submission window which is short enough so that we can focus the participant and concentrate your effort into a given time of the year. Which is why what you saw on the slide earlier is likely to be our final decision. It will be between 2 to 3 weeks. It may go up to 1 month, but I'm quite sure it won't go above this. So each participant, when it's their turn, will have 2 to 3 weeks to provide their demand request, published as a call for supply, and the suppliers will have 2 to 3 weeks. So the entire cycle of a round is likely to last between 1 and 2 months. In between, there will be a few moments where it will be for the Commission to run some very high-level assessment of what is being submitted, because we also want to extract some potential misbehavior, or for example, if we see someone that is ready to deliver way too much hydrogen way too soon, and we know it's not something realistic, we'll have a bit of discretion to also contact this participant and rediscuss if it's real, what I want to include. So because we want to ensure that what you will see is somewhat credible. And then the real credibility check will be you receiving the offers, using the filters we will provide to make sure that you are able to cut out the noise of the offer and really focus that are interesting for your business. Now, pricing, of course, key issue. What we will do on pricing. First of all, you will have the possibility, but not the obligation, to provide information about your pricing expectation, willingness to pay, cost expectation. You will also have the possibility, but not the obligation again, to provide information about how you would like the pricing to be structured. And you will again be able to provide more information about what you would like to convey to your counterparts. Of course, we know that there will be, in most cases, a mismatch between the two. What can we do to address this? As Maciek was saying, we are not directly providing finance. But we will also invite all of the suppliers which are being financed by the European Commission, including to the auctions, to also participate, because they are receiving grants which are presumably lowering the cost through which they could sell the hydrogen. It's not an obligation, it's an additional option for them. If they want to use this tool, it's the European Hydrogen Bank that is bringing it to them. So we will make our best efforts so that some suppliers are able to have more competitive pricing because they are receiving grants from other pillars of the European Hydrogen Bank. And of course, we will as well make sure that by increasing transparency between the off-takers and the suppliers, we hope that we will be able to increase the awareness on the market and maybe decrease a bit the gap between the two pricing. But of course, we know it won't be the silver bullet. It's one tool that we are developing. It's not the only one. We also have subsidy programs to support this. So we want to have a comprehensive approach in this respect. And I think I stole your reply, Alex.
Exactly.
Apologies for this.
Exhausted. Great, thank you. Now, I will quickly address 2 points. One is about the timeline for the critical raw materials or strategic raw materials mechanism. And when is the time to engage? So we are working with colleagues from DG Grow. So within the Commission, we have a team with colleagues from DG Grow. We are working on this mechanism now. It will be launched in the autumn by Executive Vice President Séjourné. So the time to engage with the European Commission, with the 2 teams working as one team, is actually between now and autumn. So we invite you to reach out to our colleagues and to us. Second point was from the Netherlands. How are we engaging and informing about our mechanism with the third countries from outside of Europe? So we are engaging actively. We use all our channels. As you know, we have a number of cooperation channels with third countries. Also in Rotterdam, Global Summit for Hydrogen recently, we have had a number of contacts. We are advertising the platform. We are always available to have also bilateral contacts to explain, to reassure potential participants from third countries. If you have some ideas, if you have planned events with third countries where you would like the platform to be presented, I think we can make a team available to join such events. So like this, we want to make sure that everybody also outside of Europe is aware that they can use our platform to match with undertakings in the European Union. And one point which is, I think, very relevant, we got a question from a local authority which wants to support the efforts on hydrogen. We very much want that you do that. As Vincenzo mentioned, the registrations are really for companies, for undertakings. But what we can do, and we hear this question quite a lot today, is that we will be publishing aggregated information to the extent we can. So without breaching commercial sensitive nature of this data, we will try and we will see what we can publish to make sure that also local authorities see what is happening in the jurisdiction with a map showing how much demand and supply over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years is there. Now I want to turn partly to Laurent and Vincenzo. If you can address the following points. I think one is clearly for you, Vincenzo. Do we register only headquarters or each country subsidiary? That's one question. The second question, and please let me know which one of you would like to address it. This is about really power of attorney. So if without a power of attorney, do I send a picture of my ID and what else? So if there's no power of attorney and then power of attorney physically. So without power of attorney, do I send a picture of ID?
Yes.
So maybe to start with from the last one. So the power of attorney as such is a mandatory document. So you have to complete it and sign it. If your question is referring to the fact that you are not able to sign the power of attorney or the declaration of non-owner for that matter with a qualified electronic signature that is compliant with the EU regulation, then you can, although it is really not a recommended option, sign it with a handwritten signature. And if you do that, then you also have to upload a valid ID document of the person signing and with a signature that matches the signature on the document. I hope this replies to the question. Can you remind me of the first one, Marco?
Is it enough that headquarters?
Sorry. So the registration consider participants as undertakings or legal entities. So what matters is that it's incorporated legal entity, and if to be a participant, each incorporated legal entity has to register separately.
Yes. So legal entity, different legal entity, different subscription process. And indeed, the first question was about the qualified electronic signature, so it was replied adequately.
All right, we have many questions. Now, 2 more questions. Are there any hands, by the way? Are there any questions beyond Slido? And by the way, thank you very much for providing so many questions in advance via Slido. It really helps us in managing this session with many participants. So the question is about the linkages between this platform and other initiatives by EU member states, including initiatives such as H2 Global mechanism. So we are absolutely looking into complementarities and synergies with other initiatives. So we are in touch with them to see how within our different mandates and different features, all these mechanisms, they have some commonalities, but also some differences. We are in touch, in contact, ready to collaborate to make sure that for the market, basically, you can use all of these tools in a coordinated and smooth way, all for the benefit of the hydrogen market uptake. There's a question about the ministry and government registering. I think we have covered this. It's for undertakings and companies to register. And are we having any hands up before I go through the questions? All right. Then there is a hand. Okay, I think it's the right time. It's 4 o'clock. You're welcome to take a question. I don't know who is putting a question.
Well, I'm muting.
Please, if you could introduce yourself briefly, and please keep your question to the point if I can ask without additional comments.
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. This is Carlos Moreno Carrero from Repsol. Some of our projects are conceived both as producers of hydrogen and consumers of hydrogen. How can we participate in this platform? Isn't it any option for traders or any kind of hybrid option that allows us to play in this space?
Thank you. Very relevant question. We have thought about this, and Clement will tell you what the result of this thinking is.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. Indeed, because I guess maybe you heard earlier, we mentioned the cooling off period. It is unfortunate because we know that some relevant stakeholders, including Repsol, are active on 2 different fronts, but for competition law issues, we cannot allow a participant to be both a supplier and an off-taker in the same round. It will create too many legal problems, including and also credibility problems for the platform, which means very concretely that you will have to make a decision before participating in a round if you want your participant to be on the off-taker side or on the supplier side. It's something that we don't have a way around. We will make sure that it's as smooth as possible, and we will revisit this if we can to improve the quality of the platform. But at the moment, hybrid in a single round is unfortunately not possible.
Please, you can take another one. The floor is yours. We try to unmute you.
So we allowed Schengen to intervene.
Hello, Raphael Schengen. I'm an independent advisor investor in the field of hydrogen. I used to be the chairman of Hydrogen Europe in 2015 to 2017, and also contributed to set up of the Hydrogen Council. So I've looked at the ecosystem over the past 10 years. I've raised a question, but you somehow answered it, but not fully, which is about the development of receiving capacities, the identification of where you're going to have crackers, or where you're going to have storage. Because here in the development of purchasers and buyers and sellers, if you do not have a proper connection point, which is most of the quantities are going to come through ammonia, potentially other forms, or you're going to have derivatives. So you need storage and you need infra. If not, you have no market. So I'm quite sure you are looking at this point. What are you going to do? Are you going to have via the platform a certain number of pre-identified locations where quantities can come? Because you said you're going to aggregate, suppliers and purchase around given infrastructure and give signals into the market. But you need to work on the basis of what is already existing and plans. And as I know, that all these take ages. And so you need to concentrate efforts in certain places. Yeah, you very quickly answered to the question, but there was more depth to it. And there was quite a number of people backing the question. So I come back to it.
Thank you. We'll try to address it a bit broader.
Yes, thank you, Raphael, for the question. Indeed, what we mentioned earlier, and it's going to be also the majority of the reply now, is that we will provide information about infrastructure when they are part of the project of common interest and project of mutual interest list, and there is a new list coming up later this year. We are then discussing also with our infrastructure colleagues to see how we can expand on this basis. But on this, we don't have a decision yet, meaning that we will really focus on these two elements, PCI, PMI. But of course, what we said, and I know we discussed this in the past as well, we really want to see this mechanism, what we launched today, as a first step, that we will then improve incrementally as we go along. And on the infrastructure front, being able to provide more information about these capacities that you mentioned is something that we definitely intend to look at. It's just at the launching stage, first round, September. What you will see when you register and participate are the infrastructure assets which are on the PCI PMI list, which may include crackers when they are as part of a terminal.
Thank you, Clément. We have a number of questions in the chat, so let me address them. One, how do we define low carbon hydrogen? That's a very good point. I could joke that I would like to know myself. But on a serious note, as you know, the European Commission will soon come up with a definition, maybe even very soon, but I'm not entitled to say when exactly. We have a legal deadline, which is beginning of August, so hopefully we will be having news on this front very soon. As the platform, we are not reinterpreting the definition of the low carbon. We are regulation takers. So basically, we know we will be open to low carbon, whatever the definition is announced in the next days or weeks. Clément, there is a question really good for you, which is how financial support will be offered. We have discussed the financial support. I think it would be good to reiterate. And then next question is about the link between the hydrogen mechanism and union database. I think, would you like to address it as well? Our biomethane colleagues dealing with this platform are partly there, but I think Clément, you can take this one.
Yes, on the financial support. So as we mentioned a few times, it's really a key element that we need to stress. There is no direct funding made available through the mechanism. The Commission has plenty of funding program, which we will make sure to link with that platform, but the platform itself is not allocating funding directly. This being said, we know that the financing aspect is, of course, key to the development of the market, obviously. So that's why we've made sure to create a place on the platform for financial institutions, which is why they will be able to register and to display their product. We hope that financial institutions, public and private, will also find this tool useful to collaborate between themselves, because of course we know that the vast majority of the project cannot necessarily be financed on a commercial only basis. So especially the potential partnerships between public financial institution, national promotional bank, export rate agencies, and private one is something that we would really want to support as well. And we will provide the place on the platform to potentially find the transactions that would benefit the most from this joint support. So that's the approach that we have for financial institutions on the platform. For them, for you, if you are those which are in the call today, it's a golden opportunity to find the transactions that could be relevant for you, and also to find the bankable one, providing that the participants are able to aggregate their volumes as well. So it's really something that we welcome, and we hope to see the financial institutions being key players on the platform in the short term. And then on the UDB, I'm not an expert in the UDB and on biomethane, so but
they're two separate.
Exactly, they are not two. They are separate platforms. We will make sure to work on the synergies between the two. In both cases, these are commission tools, so that we can work in this respect.
Exactly, just different animals. We have really good questions coming in. There is a question which I would like to address, which is about the future and if there will be administrative acts ruling the usage of the platform. It is also linked with a question if it's voluntary. I understand the question is also if the platform will be mandatory to some extent. So I think we can speak about today. Today we have a strong political and a solid legal mandate on the basis of which we have established the platform. This is the so-called decarbonisation gas package and CRM Act for critical raw materials. The usage of the platform is fully voluntary. That's why we are building it with you and with industry and for the industry to make sure that it adds value. So it is fully for you to come. There's not a single element of the platform that is mandatory. This is a bit different than the previous gas mechanism, Agree-EU, where in the times of crisis, there was certain share of demand per member state, which was mandatory to put on the platform. But this current platform doesn't have this element. So there is no mandatory demand side or supply side imposed on the industry. And we don't see this evolving in that direction, but of course, I cannot foresee the future. This is the current state of affairs. Now a question on how do we validate the level of certainty of the future supply and demand, so the firmness of demand supply. This is a very relevant question. We have thought a lot about this, given the state of development of the hydrogen market. So how firm is the demand and supply, and what can we do with the platform to support increased certainty, because it's really an issue there. And while you're replying to this, I wanted to ask maybe you, Laurent, or other colleagues to prepare a reply to the following question. How will the notifications be sent from the platform? Do you have to be registered in the platform environment to receive notifications, or will they come by email? So basically, you don't have to log in. So please prepare this one, and Clément, you go first.
Yes, thank you. Level of certainty of the offers you would receive on the platform. I think conceptually, the tool we are providing here is also a simplified version for off-takers and suppliers to run their own call for interest. So we are decreasing the administrative burden of market participants which would want to run their own processes. Of course, we've seen on the market some larger companies having their call for interest as well. And with this tool, we are making it easier for any European off-taker and for global suppliers to do the same. But the point I'm leading to is that if you were to organize this call for interest on your side, you would receive some offers which are not relevant. So it will be the case here as well. There will be some of the offers you will receive which are not interesting for you. But what we will do is that we will make this as easy as possible in several ways. We will provide you with plenty of filters so that you can easily discard PowerPoint projects, for example. If you feel you know already of a supplier and you feel that this particular offer is not relevant, you will be able simply to not look at it. And we will also enrich the quality of certain offers when we know of them. Concretely, if you as an off-taker receive a supply offer from a supplier that is benefiting from a subsidy program of the Commission, we will provide this information so that you know that the person that is submitting that offer, someone already looked at their project and considered it was a serious project. So these are the way in which we will make sure that you can ascertain the certainty of the supply which are being proposed to you, or the offtake which are being proposed to you if you are on the other side, of course. But then there will be, of course, a degree of work on your side to make sure that what you receive is interesting to you. But of course, you are not obliged to engage with all of the offers you will receive. You will simply filter through what we collected for you and contact those which are potential prospects of interest for your business.
Thank you.
So on the notifications, the notification will be sent to your email, so the professional email that you will use in the EU login that you enter, and you will be also able to see the notification on the platform itself, to the notification center or the alert, which is defined with the bell on the top right corner.
Okay, that was very short. Thank you. So there is a question coming back on participation, voluntary, non-voluntary, paid, non-paid. So the platform is voluntary and non-paid. So basically there's no fee for using the platform. It is the European Commission paying for its operation and development. In addition to the fact that the platform is voluntary, I would like to say that those who participate, of course, as Vincenzo presented it before, have to comply with a number of rules, have to submit documents, and will be subject to validation before are considered registered users. There is terms and conditions which were mentioned that we have to comply with. If you have any additional comments on the details of that, which undertakings can participate and which cannot, you can follow us. You can follow up with us after today's event. Do we have any other hands raised? No. Then there is a question from 26 minutes ago, which is about potential evolution of the platform. If we are considering a functionality where member state governments could provide funding to cover the gap between the offered prices and offers. I think this is a good point. What can we say about this, Clément?
Well, it's indeed when the participant will be able to provide the demand request or supply offer, they will be able to say if they have received funding from a given member state, or also from a non-EU member state program. So you will be able to say if you are the recipient of a grant from X ministry or X agency, which again will increase the quality of your offer for your potential counterpart. And you will also be able to back this up with providing some links, some evidence that you are indeed supported. This is to echo also what we replied to Raphael earlier. This is the status when we launch. And then we really want to make sure that this tool will evolve and improve in the short term. So if we can create direct links also with member state programs, is something that we will definitely welcome. Because our objective, of course, is to increase transparency on the market. And these are key elements, these subsidy program from the member states are key elements to relay to market participants as well.
Thank you, Clément. Regarding the details of the registration procedure, so today's presentation will be shared with the participants. There will be a recording of this session that we are having right now available to you and publicly. And as of today, I think it was said, but just to repeat, as of today, actually the registrations and the platform is ready, is open, so you can start actually the procedure as of today. So don't hesitate. There's a number of questions about the role of member states and ministries. So while the registration as such is open for undertakings, for banks, we value very much collaboration with EU member states and, of course, with governments. I mean, European, but also from third countries. So there's a number of ways how we can interact. We have done in the last month some roadshows in the capitals, often with the active support of member states and ministries. We value this very much. So we are very open to collaborate. So even if not directly through the platform in terms of registration and matching, we would be more than happy to engage with you. Let us know if you want to follow up. We can follow up directly with you. We can follow up also with the ecosystem of companies that you're working with in your jurisdiction. So we will be very much counting on your support. At this stage of the hydrogen market development, I think it's important that we are well informed and that we are not working in silos, both at national level and at EU level and internationally. Still no hands for interventions. We still have a number of questions. I have to say the WebEx functionality on ticking if the question was already addressed or not is not the easiest, but I think we have addressed most of the questions. I wonder if there's anything that we haven't addressed as we are coming slowly to an end. Give us another 1-2 minutes to see if there's some bigger questions. Okay, there is a question asked already an hour ago, which was basically linking the international initiatives, such as MOUs, but not only, in the framework of COP29, such as Hydrogen Declaration, the Green Energy Pledge, Global Energy Storage, and Grids Pledge. So, of course, we are working actively with international partners. The platform is supporting the market uptake in the European Union in collaboration with third countries. There's no direct link, but we are working with member states on these initiatives and in COP. So even if there's no direct link, I think we will be supporting the international activities on hydrogen through this mechanism, which has a very concrete objective to connect companies to support infrastructure and financing of hydrogen and derivatives markets. What else, colleagues? Is there any particular question that I have missed? We have covered infrastructure. Thank you very much. Helena, please go ahead. This will allow me time to collect more questions from the chat. Please go ahead. We try to unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Please. Yes, we
hello,
can.
Perfect. Hello, I'm Helena from the company Transmission System Operator. It's Cascade in Germany. So I was just wondering, I'm not sure whether you mentioned it, but maybe I have missed it. Is it correct understanding that this platform is not going to be like a platform for the transactions? So it's more like information platform. So not the transactions, they are not going to be concluded there. So it's not like a capacity allocation platform, for example, not something similar. So is it just correct understanding that it's more like to gather information to see how the market is developing? Thanks.
Thank you. Concrete question, Clément?
It's not about transaction. Indeed, there will not be direct contracting on the platform, but it's a bit more than about just transparency and collecting information. Concretely, it's the stage in between, in a way. The companies participating to the platform will be able to use this to test how they could conclude this transaction ultimately. So they will gain tailored knowledge, not just information about the market, but information about who could potentially fill their needs wherever they are, whatever they are on the supply side, on the off-taker side. The platform itself will provide a tool to collect this information, to filter it, to assess it, to act on it, to contact the potential counterparts. But then we won't enter into the actual transaction making for plenty of reasons. First of all, we know that these transactions are extremely complex at this level of market development, and that sometimes they will take a lot of time to develop. And also because, of course, these are commercially sensitive topics, and we fully realize that you may not want the Commission to be directly involved into these negotiations. So you will have the possibility, and you will be welcome to engage outside of the platform with those counterparts that are interesting for you, because they express an interest to you and you deem them interesting. So it's not about transaction directly, but it's more than just transparency on the market.
Thank you, Clément. Listen, please, if you have burning questions, do it now, because I have one more point I want to address, and then I will be closing. So this is the moment to address your last questions. There's a question, a very practical one, how to contact us as a government, local government, national government, or any other entity that wants to be in touch with us, work with us, provide feedback. So in the invitation for this meeting, you were contacted by EU Energy Platform mailbox. So I think this is the best way of contacting us. As a team, we always have someone who is monitoring this mailbox, and we will make sure that the right team members can reply, and we will be more than happy to engage with you in the next weeks and months. Even during the summer break, we will always have someone monitoring the mailbox. So very happy to continue exchanging in the next weeks and months. As I don't see more questions, then I want to just say a few words to conclude. First of all, thank you very much for connecting, for your active participation and questions, for bearing with us for 1.5 hours, for almost 2 hours actually. We are still at 300 plus participants, which is really remarkable. I think there's one message we want to, at least one message, maybe two messages we want to leave with you. We are doing the EU Energy and Raw Materials Platform for the industry and with the industry. We are creating this with your help, with your feedback, not to just put it online and then move to other activities. We very much want that the platform is adding value, helps in your activities. So we are very interested in your feedback. Critical feedback is also very welcome, especially constructive feedback, because this way we can make the platform better. Second point I want to leave with you, please don't hesitate, don't wait, do go register, use the link, register on the platform. Even if you register and then subscribe to the hydrogen mechanism, you fully control your activities on the platform. You do not have to immediately participate in the upcoming round. You're not obliged to anything, but you will have access, privileged access to the inside of the platform. And at any point in time, you can withdraw, you can put your demand or supply or infrastructure project. But we want to really encourage you to subscribe, register. This way you will have access and you will see for yourself if you want to use the features of the platform we are proposing or not. With this, I want to thank very much to all of you for participation. I want to thank colleagues here at DG Energy who have worked for the last 14 months to make this opening. So we are very happy it went well. We hope it was useful. Thanks very much to all of you, and hope to see you on the platform and in direct exchanges.